everyone, welcome to Let's Talk with Mariama, your channel of motivation, inspiration and positive vibes. So today we're going to talk about working as a physiotherapist in Switzerland versus working as a physiotherapist in the Gambia. But first and foremost, I would like to apologize for my voice. I think I'm coming down with the flu, but I thought I'm gonna do my video anyways, and then just to make sure you all have your video for this week. So how did I start? When I came, of course, I had to do German and then do my master's, and then I had to legalize all my documents, and also it had to go through the legal process to see if my certificate from Cuba was at the same level as the Swiss degree, and which fortunately it was, and I was certified to work as a physiotherapist in Switzerland. So that was quite amazing for me. I was mega happy about that. And then I started small because it was not like insecurity, but a bit of it, because I thought, oh no, I'm gonna start in a new country and I would want to start slowly, learn the whole system, how it works, before I eventually get myself leveled up, you know. So I looked for several jobs, I saw vacancies and all that, and then I applied to one of them. That was my first employment. It was a small one. The business has started then, and then we were only three, the owner of the practice, another physio, and myself. So I have to be honest, I think they were very open, and then, you know, not knowing what they were going to get from an African, from someone who studied in Cuba and all that. But I was grateful because they were like, hey, you know, you're qualified, and then the interview went pretty well, and then I got the job. So I started, and of course, you know, that was my first time having direct contact with patients of my own, not doing it at the university, but, you know, real life situation. And then I spoke to my boss about it, and he's like, you know, relax, just do your thing and all that. So he was with me the whole time. I think I saw my patients all alone, of course, but he was at the clinic. So when I had questions, I could ask him, and he was doing the administrative part. So I was super happy about that. So I had to do all the clinical part. And then after 2 weeks or so, I was all alone in the clinic, and I thought my head was gonna explode. Like, how do I do that? Like, you know, he trusts me so much that he leaves me with his clinic the whole day. And then I came back home and I was explaining it to my husband, and he's like, we're Swiss. If any Swiss would leave you with their business a whole day or more than that, it's because they do trust you. If they didn't, they would not have left you alone in the clinic. So that also gave me like this sense of responsibility, as in, hey, you know, when someone trusts you, you want to give your best. And that is what I always do. But in this situation, I felt I needed to give more. I needed to give more. I wanted to make sure everything was perfect and all that. So luckily, the patients that I had were so sweet and so understanding. When they come into the clinic and then say hello and all that, and then during consultation, they would usually ask, and like, do you want us to do this in High German, or is Swiss German okay? And I would say, oh, High German would be perfect. And then they, you know, do it in High German. But then I realized after 2-3 minutes in the conversation, they totally switch back to the Swiss German. That is when I realized, okay, that the Swiss German in Switzerland is super important. I cannot emphasize enough of that, you know. And that's when I started opening up outside the workplace, listening a bit more. Like when I am around my mother-in-law or other family members, I just listen, and I realized it was not as hard as I thought, and then it flew. And then at the moment, I see my patients in Swiss German, and it's all easy. So that was great. So this practice gave me actually the opportunity to get to know the Swiss system, to know the kind of patients that I'll be seeing and all that. And then I stayed after a year or year and a half, and then I got pregnant, and then had my maternity leave, and then I changed to where I live because it was just about 7 minutes walk from my house, so that was super practical for me, and that was why I left. But then this was another stage. It was a bigger practice. We were about, I think, 8 to 10 physios, and also it was a chain. They had like 4 other practices in Zurich, and that was great, you know. So this, starting from 3 physios in a smaller practice and then coming to a bigger one was like a huge difference. But people, I adopted like super fast, and which was great, but the system was different. Like I had patients every 25 minutes, and like in a day I would see about 16 to 17 patients. And so that taught me to be more efficient. It taught me like there are clinics or practices that are like very economically based because it is a business, and I totally understand that, and it's like, you know, on the dot people. So that was great. That was another experience for me. And what was different for me or weird in this situation was like I would usually have my lunch alone, and because everybody had a different lunch time, we never used to have lunch together unless like when a patient cancels and while someone else had lunch, then we would have lunch together and all that. So this was something that I thought, oh no, I would like to spend more time with the other therapists, at least get to know people and all that, the people that I am working with. But then it was not so bad, you know. My bosses were generally very open people and very accommodating and very communicative. So these were things I already discussed with them as well, but that's just how it was. And then I accepted that. But I did learn a great deal from the first job to the second one. And then after a year, I changed a job to my current job now. That is at a teaching hospital. And it is amazing because I wanted the, you know, inpatient and then the outpatient patients like that were like, that would be admitted patients and like patients that would come based on appointments. So that's what I do now. I see inpatients that are acute patients from orthopedic, internal medicine, neurology, and cardiopulmonary patients, or patients and all that. So and then I see my outpatients, and pelvic floor is one of them, and I will be talking about pelvic floor issues in some videos, but not now. That is quite interesting in the hospital, having this diversity and also this change between the two. I find super great for me. That's what I always wanted to do, and I am at the right place for me at the moment, and I'm super grateful that my boss here as well. People I don't know, but if you have bosses that are not open or you're having issues with, it's not all of them, you know. Probably find a way to communicate, find a way to understand each other, and then make your work environment much comfortable and much better. Because I always say, you know, I find physiotherapy is like my dream job. I love what I do, you know, and that is the reason why I am happy when I have like a super cool boss and someone I can talk with and all that. So, and I find our professional environments where we work are super important places, as in, you know, waking up in the morning just thinking about, oh no, am I gonna go to this place again? No, I just wish I could, you know, sleep or not go. I find that could be the worst thing. I feel my job is like my other relationship, you know, personal relationship, and when I am not happy going to the, you know, to that place to work, I would really try to change something. But then again, that is not my situation. I wake up super happy, looking forward to going to work, seeing my colleagues, seeing my patients and all that. It's not every day like that. I have to be honest and realistic. But then generally speaking, that is how it is. We have moods, we have days where you feel like, oh no, I am just tired today, or I would wish to do something else and all that. But then these are just moments, and this is natural, this is normal. But then we wake up from it and then move on. So these are the 3 different working environments that I have had so far in Switzerland, and I'm grateful that I had this process, starting small, middle, and eventually big. Then in the Gambia, of course, because I did work at the hospital, I would like to mention the differences then. And we do not have so many private clinics or private practices, physiotherapy practices, and then that's why we actually, my friend and I, Penda, hello, we opened a physiotherapy rehabilitation center in the Gambia. It's the first of its kind, and then we do rehab, we do general cases and all that. We'll be talking about that in another video in detail, but the differences between a physiotherapist in Switzerland and a physiotherapist in Gambia, that much I can tell you for now. And the differences are the patients. The patients that I see in the physiotherapy practice in Switzerland, I feel are patients that, of course, this is very subjective, and they are mostly patients that will have backache or knee ache or generally orthopedic cases that would come. And then sometimes, you know, when I ask them, you know, how much is your pain on a pain scale, on a scale of 0 to 10, and 0 is no pain at all and 10 is extreme pain, and they go like 3, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, okay, 3. Everybody's streak can be different, so people don't judge me wrong. But when I am in the Gambia, when I see patients, these are patients that are really sick. You see it yourself, and the pains are usually above 7, 8. When someone has a pain at 2, 3, they stay home. They try to massage it, or they try to ignore it and all that. But then the necessities are also different. Swiss patients would come for therapy and the insurance would pay for it. Generally, you have patients that privately would pay, but generally the insurance will pay it. And then in the Gambia, you have to pay it actually personally, and then that makes it difficult. And then the economical situations of both lands are totally different. They are like that. And then when you have a parent or you have an individual who has pain at a scale of 3, 4, they're thinking about, oh, how do I feed my family tomorrow? They're not concentrating on the pain. They are concentrating on how to bring food on the table the next day for their family, how to pay the school fees, how to get probably shoes for their children and all that. They tend to perceive the pain differently, or they don't give it that importance. The time they would show up is when the pain, they cannot do anything. They cannot go out to achieve what they want in order to put the food on the plate. That is when they would come in order to get better and then move on to get that. So they are totally different. And another difference is like when I see patients here, they mostly have their diagnosis already. They've had a CT scan or an MRI already. They've seen their doctors already before they come. And all you have to do as a physio is reconfirm the diagnosis, do a test and all that, and then put a treatment plan and then see the patients. In the Gambia, some patients would come without a proper diagnosis because we have only 2 CT scans in the public institutions, and then we have one that is running private but is super expensive. And so when people actually need to do this test, they have to have the money to be able to do it. And if they don't have the money, of course the doctor see them, diagnose and all them, and then refer them, or they can have come over to the hospital or the clinic or by themselves, and then that would be like a direct access system. They can come without seeing a doctor and all that. But then you know, sometimes even if you have the money, when the CT scans break down, it takes weeks and months before they are repaired, and patients cannot wait for that. So they just come to the therapy. And the ones that can afford it probably will go to Senegal, get the CT scan or MRI done, and then come back to the Gambia. So they are just different. I feel my patients in Switzerland are very privileged to have a system that has an insurance system, and then the health tests are paid for, the medications and treatments are paid for, whilst in the Gambia these things are not. Yeah, of course it should happen, you know. If you're privileged, that's when you can afford some of these things. So my take for today at the end of this video is the privilege that we have here. I am grateful, I am happy that my kids have access to this, that I have access to this health system, and I feel sometimes a bit sad that the people that I know do not have the same access, the same privilege when they feel sick, or when they fall sick, or when accidents happen and things like that. But then again, that's life, it's unfair. But then, hey, my fellow physiotherapists and everyone else, we have a very organized system. We have a system where when people are sick, they get access to the necessary treatments that they need. It is not the same everywhere. So when we are in these situations, we should also try to sometimes kind of like reflect on these situations, reflect on our situation that we are at. I would like to say thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe, share the video, like the video, and I'll see you in my next week's video.